Hi, I'm Andrea Carnes and I'm the Chief Curator at the Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth. When I first began to think about this exhibition, it was really sparked by a blurb that I read, and I don't even know where I read it, but it was just saying that Linda Nochlund's seminal essay, Why Have There Been No Great Women Artists, was turning 50 in 2021. And so when I thought about that article being 50 years old and the importance of it when it was written and how it's been a signpost ever since to talk about women in the canon of art history, I just thought it could be interesting to take the temperature of how things have changed or not over the last 50 years. So that was really the inspiration for the exhibition. I wanted the exhibition to represent an international, multi-generational, multi-racial group of women. I wanted to just open up the view of what has been happening internationally over the last 50 years, approximately, with women who use painting as a medium to paint women. So just looking at women as makers and women as subject matter, and using, in particular, painting as a medium because it's traditionally been a privileged medium, I'm talking historically, mostly for white male artists. So looking at how women use paint seemed very specific to me versus photography or video or performance or other media that women are more associated with or have picked up more readily, I should say. And even though it is international and multi-generational, I didn't want the exhibition to be chronologically hung. Instead of that, I wanted it to have an historical element, but to be really organized by 4 fluid themes. So the first theme when you walk into the exhibition is called Color as Portrait. And it's about women who use color to create a psychological mood or to comment on race, gender, sexuality, identity in some way. Some of the artists included in that theme are Emma Amos. She was an early pioneer. The painting in our exhibition that's in the Color as Portrait theme is from 1966. And it shows 3 female figures, each of whom, they're bathers, they're in bathing suits, sitting together. And the predominant color of that work is red. But each woman represented has several different skin tones per woman. So that's something that Emma Amos did early on to talk about diversity. The next theme in the exhibition is called Selfhood. And it's really about interiority. It's about personal moments. A lot of the portraits or a lot of the images of women in that theme are self-portraits or are a single woman. But then there are some within that theme, like the work of Christian Lyons, that show a compilation of women, 3 women put together to make 1 woman. And in her case, the women come from fashion magazines and film and the internet, all in ways that, all of those avenues have objectified women. But when Christian puts the 3 women together to make 1 composite woman, she seems to take the power back for the woman. They seem then less objectified and more in the position of being the ones in control. Also, in the theme of selfhood are artists like Dana Schutz, whose work, Swimming, Smoking, Crying, shows 1 woman swimming while she's smoking a cigarette and crying. So that work is really emotive, and I think anyone who looks at it, no matter your gender, can relate to it. And it feels like a really personal moment. It's self-deprecating, it's sad, it's lonely, and she's crying. So, you really get this feeling of an interiority and a discomfort, a sadness. But then there are other more jubilant works within that theme of selfhood, but all of them are, all in the theme of selfhood, feel pretty quiet and contemplative. The next theme in the exhibition, the third theme, is called Nature Personified, and it's about relating the female body or using the female body as a metaphor for the landscape or for Mother Earth. And also it's about sort of the mysticism that surrounds women and goddesses and priestesses. And in that theme, artists like Maria Berrio, whose work is behind me, are included. In that work, wildflowers and butterflies are growing out of the women's bodies and the children's bodies. And so they're in this place of symbiosis with nature. So it's not about men and women controlling nature in this case, it's about being a part of nature, like we're all the same in that way. Also in Nature Personified are artists like Eunice Golden. Her work in the exhibition is a woman's body. It's a crucifixion, but it's a woman's body that looks like a landscape. Eunice was sort of known for eroticizing male bodies, but this work is sort of at the opposite end of the spectrum because it's a woman's body and it's distorted in a way, but if you know what it is, you can see it. The fourth category or theme in the exhibition is called the body. And it's the largest theme within the exhibition. But for me, the body is really divided between two things. The flesh, because some artists like Jenny Saville are really painting a portrait of flesh more than they are concerned with the body. It's about the flesh. And as a British woman, she's coming out of the tradition of Lucian Freud, for example, and really out of the tradition of, beyond being in England, of Titian and Rubens and these very voluptuous, big bodies. So her work, I would say, is more about the flesh. And then another artist in the body is Alice Neel. It's sort of also about the flesh, but in the exact opposite way from Jenny Saville, because it's completely stylized and it breaks all the rules of painting. The body is outlined in blue. It has yellow and green in the flesh. But in both of those works, Jenny Saville, whose work is really tactile and in your face, and then Alice Neel, that work is more detached, but it shows a pregnant nude, and you can see her discomfort. In both cases, psychological mood, again, is created through the representation of the body. I wanted the exhibition to be very inclusive, which I think when Linda Nochlin wrote Why Have There Been No Great Women Artists, she was really talking about the idea of greatness and how greatness was normalized to mean white men because they had the privilege of painting from nude models, whereas women couldn't. She's debunking the idea of greatness, and I think that we're still trying to debunk that idea and normalize any gender, any color, anything to have airplay in the art world, if that's where their work is. But I also wanted to make the exhibition inclusive of like breaking the definitions of strict binaries between male and female, of showing femme-identifying people, of including a diverse group of artists who represent ethnicities from across the globe. And I think the exhibition really does that. And also to have the trailblazers like Alice Neel and Sylvia Slay and Emma Amos and Faith Ringgold and so on, alongside artists who are very young in career, like Apollonia Sokol or like Natalie Frank, whose mentor, Paula Rigo, is also included in the exhibition. Natalie's work is very powerful in telling a kind of different side of the story where the woman in the image is really the one in control. And it's the same in Paula Rigo's work in the exhibition called The Bullfighter's Godmother, and it's in the theme of color as portrait. But it's a woman counseling the young bullfighter before he goes into the ring with the bull. So again, like the woman in this, position of power. Overall, there's a great representation of women, from sexy to erotic to straightforward to personal to smashing archetypes to working within the language of archetypes to abject. I mean, there's every realm of female body represented in this exhibition. And right now there's so much discussion about female bodies. It seems like a really timely moment to take a look.